All right, hello West Coast. I'm joined today in the studio recording an interview with Don Staniford, who I guess you would identify yourself as a wild salmon advocate. Is that?
Yeah, I'm with the Global Alliance Against Industrial Aquaculture.
And in the news recently, you've been part of a massive, well, there was the Cohen inquest, which was a massive thing about this whole thing, and you've kind of created your own little media fiasco, or maybe you haven't created. You've been part of a media fiasco with a recent defamation lawsuit brought on by one of the salmon farming companies. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what your situation is there?
Yeah, Gaia is the name of our company, Global Alliance Against Industrial Aquaculture. We launched a salmon farming kills campaign, drawing the parallels between big tobacco smoking and big aquaculture salmon farming. And in March last year, Mainstream Canada, which is a subsidiary of the Norwegian government-owned company Cermaq, launched a defamation action. And we spent the last month, the whole of January 2012, and just on Friday, the 10th of February, in the Supreme Court, defending that. So it went for a full 4 weeks, 20 days of trial. So I'm just here in Tofino trying to recuperate. And I just went to my mailing box and $7,000 in terms of checks. Over 30 people had donated, so we've managed to raise
donations to help for your defense.
Yeah, maybe raised about $100,000 in total for my legal defense. It's the defense of freedom of speech is sadly not free. It's a very expensive case, and I think it's a case worth fighting for.
So what are the statements in particular that Gaia or yourself are you've been allegedly defaming the companies involved or the industry?
Yeah, it's a very bizarre and surreal case. I'm effectively being sued for things I did not say by a company I did not name. So it's a complicated case, but they're defining defamatory words as 52 statements and cigarette packets. The Gaia campaign published on the internet, and one of those, for example, is "Friends don't let friends eat farm salmon." Another one is "Wild salmon don't do drugs." So these are very broad statements that the plaintiff, this is Mainstream Canada, alleges is linked to them. So by launching this lawsuit, they've almost named themselves, and it's going to be an interesting judgment from Justice Elaine Adair, who has to rule on this. And then on Friday, in the Supreme Court, lawyers for the plaintiff were seeking an immediate injunction against me speaking out on all these defamatory words that they alleged, which also include salmon farming spreads disease, salmon farming kills marine mammals, and we all know here in Clayoquot Sound that salmon farms do kill marine mammals, and I didn't name the company concerned either.
So these are two separate legal actions, one that's kind of in the hands of the justice at this time, and another that's still being kind of meted out, the injunction?
It's kind of the same thing. The judge has to rule on both. She may rule on both at the same time in the summer or in December, or she could rule on the injunction next week. She can choose to rule it together or separately, but the injunction is so broad, and it doesn't just include myself. It includes other people on Facebook, for example, who may have these cigarette packets as their profile, or some of these bumper stickers that people have on their Facebook profile. If the judge deems that defamatory and says there's an injunction, people will have to take them down from the internet.
So effectively, if I had one of these bumper stickers on my car and this injunction passes, it will affect my ability to have said sticker or have it on the internet or whatever. It's actually kind of an injunction that might involve really a broader community than just yourself and your...
This case has really serious implications for freedom of speech, and the Norwegian government is effectively abusing the Canadian courts to silence global criticism. And if you think about Norway, it's a bastion of free speech. It awards the Nobel Peace Prize every year, and in 2010 it awarded it to a Chinese dissident for speaking out abuses in China. And here you have a Norwegian company abusing freedom of speech laws and trying to muzzle fair and legitimate criticism.
Did the Norwegians hire that float plane there to drown you out?
Well, I am being deported in 3 weeks, so maybe that's the police. But the first day of court, I was met by a policeman with a gun and a Canadian Border Services Agency official with a gun and handcuffs, and they wanted to call me in for questioning for overstaying a visa, and I am being deported at the end of February. But it smacks of government intimidation and potentially collusion with the Norwegian government or the plaintiff to try and get me kicked out of the country. But I will be having a Don Staniford deportation party in Vancouver on the 28th of February, and I've got a public speaking engagement on Quadra Island on the 25th of February. So, and then I'll be allowed back into Canada in March 2013. So I'll be back.
So just more out of curiosity, personal background, what started you on this campaign to salmon advocacy, especially out here on the west coast of Canada, given that you are a foreign national?
I started as a MSc student, a master's student, doing research on environmental impact of salmon farming, shellfish farming as well, and then started as a PhD student in England, did research for Friends of the Earth Scotland, and my first real job was with Friends of Clayoquot Sound back in 2004 and 2005. I again was embroiled in controversy. I was involved in a 4-year legal battle against Creative Salmon here in Clayoquot Sound and lost in 2007, but I won on appeal in 2009. So I came back to BC about 18 months ago, helped organise the Get Out migration with Alexandra Morton and Salmon Are Sacred, the paddle down the Fraser River, follow the Cohen Commission. And then this Salmon Farming Kills lawsuit is the next stage of that. But this Norwegian government-owned company has shot themselves in the foot. I've now got a job offer to work with the Green Warriors of Norway. I'm going to live on a boat called the Eco Queen, which is very much like Greenpeace's Rainbow Warrior.
So the adventure continues.
Yeah, and the problems have come home to roost with me going to Norway, and I'll be focusing on Norwegian companies, Norwegian salmon farming companies, not just in Norway but also in Ireland and Scotland, and traveling down to Chile, and then hopefully I'll come back to Canada next year.
All right. Well, if people want to learn a little bit more about your cause, I know there's a structure for helping with the legal defense costs for Gaia and whatnot. How can they get more information or get in touch with you?
Salmonfarmingkills.com, and then there's a GoFundMe.com, and Don Staniford is the funding website. We've raised almost $50,000 just through that alone. But there will be an appeal, and the support has been overwhelming. We got money from Norway. We got $10,000 from Norwegian salmon fishermen and people in Sweden and across North America. So thank you very much for everybody who's funded me. And this really is the people's movement, the 99% against the 1%.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we
well, just it's been brilliant being back in Clayoquot Sounds, just energizing, and it's been a wonderful day on the beach, and it's just been just recharge my battery. So I love Tofino, and I want to come back, so hopefully I'll come back next March.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us, and good luck with your adventures.
Thank you.